Allegedly, this is what we're here to clarify. This is what
Here
we're
he
here.
is.
Hang on.
Here he is.
Did you brake check Rick Kelly?
So I don't really do podcasts very much, if at all. This could be my first one.
Who was the person you had to beat, or like seen in the sand, or whatever?
Mark Scaife comes to the top of the list pretty clearly.
It's just driving in circles. How could it be that hard?
Well, that's what I thought when I went over there. I was like, they turn left all day. We've got banking to even help them.
We need to retain some of our stars.
If the product here is not good enough to keep our drivers, they go somewhere else.
As a young bloke, you might have naturally become high maintenance because of those.
Well, naturally, that is the right word, high maintenance, and probably not quite the right perspective on life.
He's in the fence! The man's in the fence! They're all in the fence! Oh, unbelievable!
Sound check.
Sound check.
Sound check.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, big ears.
Thanks for coming on, mate. Scotty.
Well, very excited about today's podcast. This feels like it's been a little time in the making. I've sort of dropped this a few times that it was going to happen. Then everyone kept asking, but we've got a very special guest on the show today. Possibly Tassie's finest export, but he's had a very successful Supercars career in just 5 years in the championship, won 2 championships, probably one of the craziest stats in Supercars, and then ducked off to the USA and was very successful in NASCAR, becoming a race winner as well. Marcus Ambrose, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's a bit of a bro fest here. We're all good mates. Your teammates back in the day, Scott, and I'm good mates with Elliot, running his car this year in Trans Am. So it's definitely overdue for me to be on the podcast. I don't really do podcasts very much, if at all. This could be my first one.
Yeah, right. Well, when I was looking back at some of the stuff yesterday, YouTube and that, it is actually, they're always like broadcast interviews or something like that. So it's good to get you out and on a more relaxed format, I guess, and just chat at the bar and chew some fat. But we were teammates at one point, which for me was, you're probably the same as everyone else that had a really successful career. You hate being pumped up. But as a young bloke growing up, there's many of us that looked up to you. And I remember once at a Ford dealership, I got to play against
Gambia.
you. Yeah, that's it. I did get the dub there that day too. Remember, you tried to take me out. We played each other on PlayStation at a Ford dealership.
Oh,
there was
right.
a $500 merch pack up for grabs or something. I had $500 to spend in the merch shop if I won, and I raced a bunch of other kids, and then I got to race Marcus at the end. He come through turn 8, down the inside wall, tried to T-bone me at 9. I have a good memory, clearly. I've held on to that. And then, we were teammates at Penske, which was surreal for me, growing up watching you, obviously, and then get to be teammates with you was very special.
Surprise, surprise, I was competitive back in the day, trying to beat a kid on PlayStation, trying to put him in the fence, mate.
Trying to screw a 13-year-old out of $500.
I'm sure you still got that dog in you, mate. And also you gave Scotty his comeback, I guess, to main game driving through that Penske stuff. Because I actually remember at the time, Scott was actually at my house that weekend. You were running main game back in the Penske stuff. And then when you decided to step away, they actually gave you, Scotty, that opportunity to go back in it. So there's a fair bit of history here at the bar.
There is a lot of history at the bar. We can start right there if you like too, because you probably don't even understand some of what went down there to create that whole thing. So I was really winding up in America, and it had been a long run in America, nearly 10 years over there. America's Shane Van Gisbergen's going through it right now. It's fantastic for a while. You're doing 36, 40 weekends a year at the racetrack. Everything's great. But after 10 years of getting beaten, 10 years of on the grind, I was very, very tired, probably way more tired than I thought. So I knew my time was done in the States. It was time to come back to Australia. I had a young family. It was a very difficult move to get everybody back. And then so straight into this whole DJR thing with Penske. It's all new and exciting, and a lot of expectation. And you get there and all of a sudden it's like, my gosh, actually one car team, I'm really tired. The car's not great, I must say. It was a difficult car to drive at that time. And so it was really heavy. And I just realised that I wasn't the right person for that job. Scott was actually better prepared than I was, and I just didn't want to let anyone down. And I just felt bad for Scott too, because, you'd come out of the seat and then they're putting me in there, and I know that I'm not going to deliver what needed to be done, because mentally and physically I was exhausted from the States, and I don't have experience of these cars. And those cars at that time had all the multiple springs in there and these stage shocks, and it was all upside down, and I was really struggling to get a feel for the car. So I decided that I actually needed to stop, and very difficult decision to stop. It's a lot easier to keep going in those situations. And so there was a lot of repercussions from all that. But I just knew it was my time to actually, stop. I needed to, and give Scott a second chance at life, I guess, to some degree. Scott jumped in the Carrot Simmons planes and went a lap down, I think. the car was difficult.
I blacked that one out. I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Sure I was on.
Thanks for bringing that up,
I'm
mate.
sure I was on pole straight away. Surely.
And so, there was just a lot of rebuilding to do in that team, and they got there. I mean, let's face it, did amazing things. But yeah, it was a 2-3 year cycle to get there, and I just knew that I wasn't the guy for the job at the time for that.
You probably came back at the worst time, really, though, because that was when the cars were at their peak for engineering genius. I mean, there was triple springs happening, and the way you drove the car with your feet was so important.
It was, and I just really didn't know what was going on there. I just didn't want to let people down, and it was just, I just didn't feel the car. I just couldn't work out the brake pedal, and I got Scott sitting there. It's like, well, he's actually better than me.
It was
drive this car right now.
It was a big call. I had a lot of people actually message saying, abusing me, thinking I had somehow pushed you out. And I was like, hey, give me the opportunity. I probably would have at the time. I was young and wanted to get back in. But no, this was a big call from you. And
that's difficult times, because you got to, you call Roger Penske and say, Roger, I really appreciate the opportunity, but I need to stop. And so it's confusing to them as well. And it's like, well, are you going to be driving somewhere else? I said, no, I just need to stop. And so that was all it took was Roger understood, and Tim Cindric understood, and Dick and Ryan Story and all those guys there at DJ at the time, because you come in with a big fanfare of yep, let's go, this is going to be super exciting, everything's fantastic, and then I just wasn't feeling it, and it comes out in weird ways, right? And so for me, it was actually came out physically, and I just knew that I'm so tired, so exhausted, that I'm not the right guy for the job.
And it is a big 36 weekends a year plus the speedway stuff you said you were doing at some point as well.
Yeah, that's right. It was 10 years in the making to get that moment, and really my career, I was super, really happy with it, to be honest with you. I've done all the racing. I've lived a fast life, a fast-paced life in planes and trains and cars and racing, and just a lot of movement around the country in America and Australia, international flights and everything. And so at some point it just it's just time.
How did that I had this planned for much later in the pod, but how did that come about with Roger? Did he reach out to you and say, this is what we're considering doing? Or because he obviously purchased the team, but I'm sure before he went and did that, he had a plan of who was going to drive and what he was looking at doing.
Yeah, so I believe the way I recall it, obviously, a lot of time's passed since then, but Roger asked me to come to his bus, and he's got a beautiful, Penske bus. Come in there and just start asking me questions about supercars and Australia and racing and drivers and who would you have and who wouldn't you have and all those kind of things. And so that's really where it started. And so he just was probing me for questions. Then he kind of knew, obviously the word had got out that I was going to stop driving in America, and he just asked, would you consider driving in Australia? Well, how are you going to say no to Roger Penske? Yeah. Really, that's what it was. And I said, if it does come together, because at that time it was like a maybe. I said, well, Roger, if you ever want to race in Australia, I'd love to drive for you. And that's how it was.
Yeah, right.
And then all of a sudden, the phone rings 8 months later. I've done it. We're going to start driving next year. Oh, wow. Okay.
All right.
Let's go do that then.
Well, when I look back, I do have to actually, we put the Xbox car on the bar here, Bubs, or over. It always sits on our fridge, but we've popped it up there because that was for me a real pivotal time. And so I do say thank you as well, because I did stay on. I was given the opportunity. I was on a 2-year contract. They cut that. But they said, if you'd like, we'll just keep the contract going, but you're co-driver. And I didn't really, my only other option was to co-drive. And I did think, well, this has to be an opportunity as much as it is a negative. And to work with you, I thought, well, I get to sit alongside you in I went to both races, Adelaide and Melbourne Grand Prix, sat with you in pre-briefs, debriefs. But I didn't know where I was going to go at that point. I'd done 1 year in the main series, I think, at that point. And so you did reignite, I guess, my career once you decided not to do it. I still got the opportunity to do Bathurst with you, so it's still an amazing season. And then, I had 10 years after. So I do impromptu thank you, I guess. But, I appreciated that. And I think it says a lot as well about you being able to step back and go, hey, I'm not the guy for the job, or I just don't want to be doing it right now. Because it's very easy. We see the comments. A lot of people, wish some drivers don't just run around forever holding a seat up for someone like myself at the time that could come in and kickstart their career and hopefully, have a few more wins than me, but get someone in that is, desperate to get their bum in a seat again.
And this is the thing about Australian driving and supercars in general, Australian motorsport, and we're probably going to touch on this all conversation long today. There's so many good drivers in this country, and there's so few seats available.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, America is a land of opportunity for race car drivers. There's lots of different seats. There's lots of different types of racing you can get into and get paid to do if you're good enough. And so you're one of those guys, Scott. You're as good as anybody out there. You should belong in the sport. You shouldn't have ever been put out of the seat, to be honest with you. But there's just only so many race seats to go around every year. And we're seeing it a classic this year.
Yeah.
I mean, the turnover in supercars this year is quite incredible, really. It's probably the most I've seen. That definitely, even the enduro seats now are sort of going around at a big shuffle. So it's amazing. I'm good friends with Aaron Loeb. He drove our Trans Am for 2 or 3 races. Fantastic driver. Got just bundled out of the sport and supercar level. You know, I'm sure if he had his time again, he might do things different. He might still be there because really his talent's there.
Yep.
For him to try to get back in now, it's not easy, you know, and he's a great driver at the right age, good looking guy, fully committed, fast, you know, just every year it comes through. There's another wave of kids coming through Super 2, another wave of kids coming from other categories trying to make their way in. And so there's just a lot of good drivers around at the moment that are looking for spots, and there's just not many spots.
Yeah.
Be nice. I mean, wouldn't it be great if there were 30 cars in the grid, supercars? That would probably take a lot of that pressure off and allow these great drivers to still be driving cars.
Might unearth some that don't have money either to buy the limited seats that are there at the moment, because that seems to be happening a bit.
Well, and that's one thing not surprised me, but someone of your calibre, normally they don't really, I don't know, bluntly give 2 shits about what other young drivers in the sport are doing. But I know from like my experience, when I rang you late last year, said, hey, need some help, I half expected you not to answer the phone because I'd never spoken to you. And obviously I knew of you through like George and everything you did for George when he was racing in America and all that stuff, and Scotty and that. But it's sort of, I think it's great how much you do look at young talent. And like even the other weekend when you were running Josh Webster in TA2, you said, oh, hey, there's this young guy, Brock Payne, he did an amazing job. So you're always watching and you do give people a leg up, because if you get endorsed by Marcus Ambrose, it does help. People will actually answer your phone call and not a lot of people do that. So I actually think that's huge of you.
Thank you, but I'm just a fan of racing and I'm a fan of races. Yeah. And I just love watching great drivers race at racetrack and race each other. You know, that's what floats my boat. And I think a lot of people are like me at the top levels. Shane Van Gisbergen sent me a text yesterday. Hey, I've got this guy from New Zealand, Caleb Natoa, I think he's
he's on a Porsche. He just did the Porsche experience.
Yeah, can you talk to him? Like he's just thinking about trying to come back over to Australia and race something. He's just kind of confused. I said, just call me. And so I chatted to him yesterday. So Shane Van Gisbergen's the same as I am. He just wants to help people too. Tony Stewart's the same. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is the same. Carl Edwards is the same. Greg Biffle, Kevin Harvick, they're all giving guys a shot. Cole Busch started his own race team, put guys in it. So we're all different. We're all unique, but I think, the pure racers do come out, right? And people who just love the sport over time, they just make it to the top.
Did it shift for you at any point where you went from being a driver to then, I know you went and started the lodge with a couple other investors, and then you took a little period there. Yep,
Lodge is still going.
Yep.
So it still runs to this day. It's only small. It was something to do to get busy with. When I stopped driving, you just can't stop cold turkey. So, and there was probably a recoil reaction there too. I just wanted to get really, really busy and probably get really busy away from everything. So picking a wilderness lodge to do a rebuild on fits the bill pretty well. Yeah. Sonny, my wife, she's still not impressed. But anyway, we've still got it. I still love it. I don't get there I haven't been there for a couple of years now, which is a real shame.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to getting back into it now. Sort of things have calmed down for me personally. So, it's a soft spot for me, the lodge. But definitely that was just an attempt to really sort of get busy and try to do something different and try to learn something new, right? Because when you're racing, that's really all you know. I know a lot about tyre pressures. I know a lot about UV on the racetrack. I know a lot about aero and downforce and suspension parts. And so I just needed to do something completely different. And that's what it sort of fell in my lap, really. I didn't even choose it. It just was there and I just went and did it.
Okay. But then did you start to go, I want to give back to the sport or get involved in the sport again? And because you are now, some might know that Elliot does drive for you in the Trans Am, but also you ran, like you said, Aaron Love. And next year you're running You're running 3 cars next year or 2? Or?
Could be. We're just sort of working it all out now. So this year we've been running. Elliot came across and we've done a couple of races together now, and we're building up for a good tail end of the season. We're going to continue that into 2026. So really excited there. Elliot's a fantastic driver, and he's actually just like me. Like, you know, he's a real grinder. Yeah. Loves it, wants to go at it, build his own team, done it all on his own. Fantastic story right there. So just that alone, you know, I like to be around good people, right? So, you know, Elliot's one of those. Yeah. And so we're going to find a way to make his deal fantastic next year, whatever it looks like. We're not quite too sure how it's going to look just yet, but we're working towards it. I've been running Formula Fords this year. So my daughter Tabitha needed to go learn something to drive. She'd been doing Excels, which is great, but she needs to learn how to set up a car, how to feel a race car. The very best car you can choose, in my mind, because I've done it. I agree. And I think you've done it too, is Formula Ford. It's just no downforce, lightweight car, open suspension. Yeah. And you just learn the craft of what being a race driver is all about. I think when you get to the top levels of motorsport, everyone's pretty much as good as anyone else to put a lap time in. It's about getting the car where you need it, or understanding what's happening to the race car to make it better, either at a pit stop or for the next practice, or even just driving around a problem. And I think that's really the difference maker. And so really keen to sort of put Tabitha in a Formula Ford. And you need a teammate when you do that. So then we had a friend of ours, the James family. Brad James is a great driver, won everything in XLs for years. And so put him in a Formula Ford too. So all of a sudden I'm running 2 Formula Fords to start, and then Josh Webster's crew call me and they're in trouble and they want to do TA2. What do we do? Well, okay, we'll help you out there too.
So you're in TA2 as well?
Yeah. And they had a spare car. I ended up buying that one for Aaron Love because Aaron was looking for a spot. So I've run this year 3 Trans Ams across either TA2 or Trans Am at various times, and then the 2 Formula Fords. And Adam Macro, a previous Formula Ford champion, and I think he's done a lot of Bathurst. I think 10.
He did with Triple Eight, actually.
He's on the podium.
Yeah, he's done a lot of Bathurst. Great guy. He's been with me as well. And so just between the two of us, we've been trying to run these race cars. So we've stretched ourselves too thin this year. And I've learnt my lesson there, I guess. We should probably beef up a bit more and get some more crew if we're going to go that level again. But it's been, for me anyway, because I haven't been well. So it's been a great journey for me to actually force myself to get out of bed and force myself to start moving my body again, force my brain to start engaging again. So it's been a year really for myself as much as it has been for everybody else.
Hey, Scotty, you know how our hunters are always trying to watch races from all over the world, Japan, Europe, USA, but they get that annoying pop-up saying this content isn't available in your region?
Mate, tell me about it.
Well, imagine if they could watch any race they wanted anywhere in the world without any dodgy pop-ups or any buffering.
Well, it's funny you say that, actually. We have a brand new partner on the show who's built exactly for that, NordVPN.
Oh, here we go. Tell me more.
We've actually been using NordVPN whilst we've been on the road creating the content for everyone. It keeps your data safe when you're on those dodgy motel Wi-Fi networks. It hides your location, and it also stops those dodgy ads following you around when you Google something just once.
So if you love your racing like us, or you just want to keep what you do online your own business, grab NordVPN. It's fast, secure, ridiculously easy. Even Scotty figured it out.
Yeah, righto, mate. Well, if you want to get the best deal on your NordVPN plan, head to nordvpn.com/Apex Hunters. Our link will actually get you 4 additional months on top of a 2-year plan. And don't stress, there's a Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. So I will pop the link to Nord's website in the description of this podcast.
Sort your online life out, stay safe, and stream like a hunter.
I didn't want to touch on that too much, but I did read you were diagnosed as terminal. Is that correct? Yeah,
I mean, the wording, you got to be so careful with the wording, but basically it was like, you're not going to get rid of this.
Yeah.
And it's going to come and get you at some point, right? That's basically the message. And so that's a terrible message to get, and so we just worked through that. So that happened in 2023.
Yep.
It's all gone my way, to be honest with you. Like, when you face something like that, it's not great for yourself or your family. But, it's just ever since the diagnosis, it's all gone my way, and I'm doing fantastic.
Yep.
And living every day as hard as I can. And I must say, probably living it a bit too hard these days.
Has it changed your perspective on anything?
Oh, it's totally changed.
Because that's probably something that is great for people to hear, is what your perspective is now, having been through it, because some people do get, the word said to them and they don't get the opportunity then to have a retake on life or do things differently.
Yeah, it's such a personal thing. Like, everyone's got their own stories, right? And that's what I took away too. Like, I'm just another person. And at the end of the day, it's all going to go the same way for all of us, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And we're in the throes of, like, trying to achieve amazing things, and it's all so important. And, you know, I've got to do this, X, Y, and Z, whether it's like, you know, getting the office work done or getting the lawns mowed or trying to win a V8 Supercar championship, you know, it's all really important at the time, but ultimately it's just your health and your family.
It is, isn't it?
That's it.
It really is.
That's it, you know, and like if you lose one of those things, you know, it's not great.
And perspective is so important. Like my dad is buried in Mount Gambier, and sometimes I go there and I think everything he was worried about is gone with him. Like the worries and the concerns we all have are kind of minimised when you have some perspective, and it is like always keep in touch with family and trying to make a little bit more effort where you can.
Yeah, that's right. So if you ask, like, are you different? Yeah, of course you're different. Like, you're never going to be the same. And same for my kids and my wife and everyone around me at the time. You know, we're all different from it. I wouldn't say we're worse. We're just, you know, you just look at things differently and you just go, well, my tolerance is actually for bullshit is a lot less. You know, like I just can't be bothered with it. Like, you know, just turn the TV off, turn the news off. Go back to things that you like doing, go hang out with people that you like talking to. The other thing too that's really big is that some people drew in, you know, during times of crisis, and some people draw back. And so you kind of work out, not that it's wrong or anything, it's just that like, you kind of work out how life really is. And,
who your people are.
Well, not just that, it's just like, it's just like some people they're not in the space to do it, they can't do it themselves, it's understandable. But just the dynamic of just being human, you know.
Yeah.
Like it changes everything. People probably don't know this either, but I'm quite the history buff. Like I really enjoy geology. I'm a bit of a rock hound. I like the old gold panning thing, and so
I'm starting to learn that after the chats over the
I just love all that stuff. I like, you know, megalithic stuff from back in the day, way back in the day, and you know, you just realise that we're just a speck of time.
Yeah.
In the overall course of what goes on, you know, and it's just incredible, really. So with the sickness and the recovery and just the perspective and looking at things, one of the things I said to myself was, if I get better, there was two things I wanted to really do. I wanted to feel good again, and I want to make a difference, right? And so getting my daughter through Tabitha, she's just doing great as a race car driver and also too as a human. She's just a great person, and just the life lessons of motorsport, you know, I believe in them. They're tough lessons. There's a lot of losing. There's a lot of beating your head up against the wall. There's a lot of late nights. There's a lot of effort, a lot of travel. You got to really want to do it. You soon work out if you've got the grit or not. So she's reaching and achieving all those goals. And so she's going down her own road now, which is fantastic. So I'm hoping to handball her off to another team next year if I can, and just let her really be independent and find her own path. And so that's really what it's been about.
Motorsport is great for that, and I don't know if it's because it's not at a beginner level. It almost is an individual sport just with your family, so you don't get the drink and piss at the club rooms, and you know the big teams where they're, you know, even when you become professional in other sports where you got all this free time and nothing to do with it. You got a heap of cash coming in, and usually they hang out in groups and get up to no good. But I've found growing up motorsport, I was never at the parties or as a kid, it was my goal was always just to get to the next race with my dad, and we were driving from Adelaide to Darwin to do it. So the relationship with my family was like, we were thick as thieves, all of us. And you get an appreciation as well of what it costs to have something, because motor racing's expensive. So you start to get out in the market, and we're selling sponsorship at a young age, which is a life skill you learn forever. Public speaking, I think because it's an individual sport, you're more exposed to it. You have to do it.
You have to do it.
So the life skills you learn through motorsport are underestimated. It's not just driving a car fast. It's everything that comes with it. And other sports, you often got a 50-50 chance of winning. Motorsport is not the case. So you learn very quick how to be resilient and just keep moving forward. And my nephew, my sister uses, unfortunately, some of my racing as an example, but it's like, you know, you can't win every time when you turn up. And, you know, it was 165 races until I got my first one. And it's like, you got to imagine turning up to work every day and losing 165 times and still wanting to come back every time.
That's right.
And that's what motorsport teaches you.
Yeah, look, I always say 90% frustration, 10% jubilation. Like, there's no middle ground. You're either like, you know, you're one of the mad cats at the end of the race and just kicking the tyres, or, you know, you're spraying champagne in victory lane.
Well, Bathurst is a good example, isn't it? There's only one couple that's happy at the end of the day on top of the podium. The rest are what ifs, and you know.
And so that's why you got to kick these other goals along the way. You got to love what you're doing, first of all, right? It's always a lot easier if you love what you're doing. And there's just no replacement for going fast. That's like, I just love going fast, man versus machine, pushing a car past where it would want to naturally be, being the best on the day. Like that's what I loved about motorsport, and I still do, and that's I think what most drivers get a kick out of, like the ability to do something that not many other people get a chance to do or can do. It's not even just having the means to do it. Some people just aren't built for it. And some
100%.
people are built for it. And some people are just magic. And when you see them like Cole Larson, he came into NASCAR as I was on the way out, and I came across him for a few races, probably about the last 6 months of my last year, and the guy was just incredible.
Right.
Like I'm driving around thinking, look at that guy. Like I was just happy to watch him run the fence. Like he was just, look at that guy go. Yeah, we did a tyre test at Rockingham. So Rockingham's one of those old school tracks. It's in the sand belt, so it's where I'm going to get it wrong. I think it's where Pinehurst is. Like it's a sort of a golfing kind of place, but it's in the sand dunes pretty much. Rockingham, one of the old tracks, real lumpy, rough. The corners aren't quite the same shape. One of those real challenging places. And at the time, it wasn't on the NASCAR schedule. But it had been a NASCAR staple for a long time. Anyway, 2-day tyre test running around, and at the end of your career over there, the test day, tyre tests and everything, they get a bit long in the tooth. You want to be home because literally you're doing 200 mile an hour 4 or 5 days a week over there. So, kind of like if I can get home early, I want to go. So we're trying to get this test day done, and I'm cycling through the tyres we've got to get through. And there was Scott Lagacy Jr. was the driver for Ganassi. So I was there with the, I think it was Waltrips and JTG Doherty that I was driving for at the time. So we were on the Toyota side, and Ganassi were there with Scott Lagacy Jr. And if you weren't, like, Scott's a good friend of mine, but if you weren't, like, on top of Scott, you probably weren't doing your job. He wasn't a full-time guy. I'm a full-time guy. I need to be going fast around then. So you're normally like watching other cars around on the track, and you're on the track, and you're trying to peg each other around the track to see exactly where you're standing. And I'm always gaining on Scott. I'm feeling pretty good. Lunch break happens, and I come out after lunch and I get spanked. Like, what's going on here? Like, I can't even keep up with Scott Lagacy. I'm working on the car and trying to just find a different groove to get going. And it was Cole Larson jumped in at lunch. And that was his first cup drive.
The old switcheroo.
The old switcheroo.
First test.
I think it was his first cup test, or it must have been one of the first ones. He'd been doing nationwide already and stuff, so he'd done some driving, plenty of driving NASCAR. But like, who's this guy? Like Kyle who? Well, now I'm just a fanboy of Kyle Larson. Like, he jumps in anything and wins in it.
Yeah.
What is
and
it?
he's the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
Well, we said this not long ago because when we went to Darlington, he was going to the gym because I think there was a delay or something, and I'll just walk to the bathroom, and even just walking past, like, "Hey mate, how are you?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Holy shit!"
I'm
like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. As you say, he must. I'll just say that because he must be a nice guy. Because I say, if I'm just walking past and he goes, "Hey mate," you're like, "Shit, that's cool."
You would not realise who he is if you just talk to him. He's just the nicest, placid, nice guy. Jumps in a race car, and he's super nice in the race car too. But he's just so fast.
Yeah.
And the stuff he's been doing in sprint car, I saw him race at DeCoin. It's a 1 mile dirt track, Never driven one of those cars. Well, jumped in one thing, and then he jumps in a super late model, which they're really hard to drive because all the rear end skews up and the thing lays over, and they've got all this rear steer going on. Never probably driven one before, and went and waxed the outlaw guys as well. It's like, then he jumps in his sprint car, he does it again. And he's changed the dynamic over there for speedway, for sprint car racing and things like that. Some of the slide jobs he's done, and he's really good mates with Rico, and those two are just thick as thieves, and just so fun to watch them because he'll probably go down as, like he's like a Mario Andretti, he's just going to go down as one of those all-time greats.
What do you think makes the oval racing so hard? Like, what makes them so good at it? And then...
I think it's eyes. I think a lot of it's eyes. I've thought a lot about it because I got beaten pretty good over there. And you've got to have amazing eyesight. I think the ability to see little things and little cues. I think that's a large part of it, and just the feel from the race car. So we'll go into it a bit deep here. When you go to Bathurst and you're racing a V8 supercar, you've really got everything symmetrical. You've got a front axle weight, rear axle weight. You want the car square, where you don't have the car, what we call America cattywampus, where one weight's light and another wheel's heavy. You're trying to keep everything the same and linear and kind of nice and square. When you go and you feel the car from understeer, oversteer, sometimes you'll talk about rolls, not rolling enough, or it's rolling too much or whatever. When you go to NASCAR and you start running ovals, it's asymmetric. So the left front wheel is actually not even on the same wheelbase as the right side. You've got cambers that are all, cattywampus. You've got tyre pressures, you've got 5 or 6 pounds on the left side of the car, and you've got 30 or 40 on the right. And so you've got all this stuff going on. The car is just so different when you actually are setting up each individual wheel. And when you're driving, I had a hard time feeling the front tyres. I could tell you it's understeering, but I can't tell you which tyres let you down.
Right.
And that's what because like everything's different and you can tune anything you like. So quite often you start the race and you turn in and everything's great. And then all of a sudden you realise, I don't have enough Ackerman. I need that inside because that inside tyre's scrubbing and it's just not working enough. And you just know you're cooked before you even start the day because there's nothing you can change on that, you see. So if I had felt that better in practice, I would have been more in tune with my front tyre saying, well, one tyre needs to be more slipped on the inside than the other. And so you just sort of, over time, you get better at it. But the guys that have done it since they were 8 or 9 or 10, they're just way up the road. And I think that's where I look back at my career, I struggled to feel individual wheels.
Right.
I'll give you another example before we get too deep into it.
That's interesting. It's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Michigan Speedway. So, I'm running for JTG. It might have been in the wing era. Maybe it was the blade afterwards. I'm not sure because races sort of blend in after a while. And I'm having a decent day, top 15-ish, For us, that's pretty good going. It's a 2-mile speedway, really high speeds. We're talking 850 horsepower at the rear wheels. Top gear all the way around. I got the lap record there for a while when they repaved it, and I think it was 212 mile an hour average. So I think we were topping out at 240, on the straights, and then probably dropping down to about 222 through the corners, just a slight breathe and then back to it, up against the fence. But anyway, I'm running around, and at this time the track was worn out. So Michigan's got really cold winters and really hot summers. The American summer is like nothing you've ever experienced really. It's just hot and humid and sticky, and so you get these big weather changes, and even the roads up there are just smashed to bits. They get a lot of heave and a lot of frost heave, and they get a lot of splitting in the summer, and the ground's moving all the time, and so the track is actually really grooved out with separating when the asphalt gets laid down on an oval. So as you lay asphalt on an oval, you've got to do it in multiple passes because the machine can go around the bottom row, but then it's got to go the next ring up and then the next ring up, and then and maybe they're 5 or 6 rings. Well, the asphalt was separating between those layers, and so they fill it with tar just to try to protect it, to stop chunks of asphalt getting flicked up. And we have trouble there sometimes where the track does lift, and they've got to stop the race and put some special epoxy down, and they stop the race for an hour or two, let it all harden up, and then we go race it again. So at this time, Michigan was full of these lines of tar, both longitudinal and lateral. Anyway, the longitudinal ones were catching everybody out because as you turn the corner, the cars are yawed out, so the rear end's wider, more yawed out than the front. And so all 4 tyres are actually on their own lane, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And if your car's loose and you touch one with the left rear that you can't quite tell where the left rear is at, it'll basically spin you out. So it's treacherous. So I'm driving around and it was halfway through the fuel run and Sam Hornish is coming, and I'm trying to stay in front of Sam Hornish and I'm just working at it and the car's loose and it's a hot day and I'm really getting pretty mad, and I should be beating Sam Hornish too because he's had a hard year and I should be in front of this guy, Anyway, and then the car starts catching on fire. I got smoke in the cabin, and so and the car's getting worse. Every time I pitted, the car was getting worse, and I'm screaming at the guys, now, you've ruined my car and now I'm on fire and I can't even beat Sam Hornish, and here comes Sam. And he just blazes past me from the inside to the outside. I did a big slide job. And as he went past me, both his rear tyres were smoking because it was sliding through the corner.
Right.
At 180 mile an hour. And then it dawned on me, oh, shit, I'm actually sideways. Way more sideways than I thought because, you're just driving, things yawed out and there's actually tyre smoke.
It's not even on fire.
In top gear. It wasn't on fire. It was just...
fucking tyre smoke.
Tyre smoke.
That is mental.
And then I'm like... I just need to calm down. So I just calmed down for a couple of laps, cool the tyres down, changed my lane, and then caught back up to him and passed him.
You're driving around doing a burnout going, car's on fire.
Yeah, that's how loose those cars can get and how wild it can get. It will blow your mind if you put yourself in those situations.
It's crazy when people, it's just driving in circles. How can it be that hard?
Well, that's what I thought when I went over there. I was like, they turn left all day. They got banking to even help them. This will be easy.
Hunters, I just want to take a moment to thank one of our fantastic supporters, Shaw and Partners Financial Services. Shaw and Partners are a leading national investment advice and wealth management firm. They act for and on behalf of individuals, institutions, corporates, charities, and family offices. So, if you're looking for advice or assistance with investments or strategies, look no further than Shaw and Partners Financial Services. With a 35-year history and 8 offices strategically placed all over Australia, their financial advisors are within reach and ready to provide tailored solutions and advice. For more information, follow the link in the description of this podcast. Back to the show.
You obviously a lot in supercars. Why did you go stuff this? I'm now going to the States. Like, what made you want to go and turn left for 500 laps?
There was a whole bunch of factors in there. I think I was 26, 27 at the time, something like that. I'd done a lot of winning. You know, the Stone brothers were just incredible. But, like, when you're that competitive and you're that on it, we're all on it. Like, you know, Russell and I were really, I mean, we're talking to each other, but we also want to just beat each other, like, so bad.
Yeah.
Our teams weren't talking to each other. You know, in the shop, there was, like, just scuttlebutt.
Right.
We're hiding springs and hiding shocks. And, you know,
good.
I'd say something in driver's briefing, then I'd sneak away and say something different. You know, like, we're just, because we're running for the championship, right? And we're running hard. And there was always the element of, like, working together. But, like, when you really, you know, at the end of the day, you're in it for yourself, right? And you've got to look after yourself first. So there were a few things I didn't say, or a few things that and I'm just saying to you, like, that's how competitive it was, even in our own team, let alone, you know, the Greg Murphy thing and the Max Gave thing and HRT and Ford versus Holden.
Yeah.
So there was just a lot going on in that 5 years. And I was obviously, I was very competitive, and I'd say that I was a punk, you know, like, I'm sure I said the wrong things and rubbed people up the wrong way. I watched stuff.
What's the wrong things if you, it depends who you talk to?
Yeah, but I watch YouTube now and I kind of cringe and, oh, shit, you know, that was a bit desperate, you know. And so that's just the era that it was. So there was an element of, like, getting too big for your own boots. You either, like, calm down or just get out. At the time too, it was like right when supercars were starting to boom. And, you know, there were issues like merchandise is always a sticky one because, you know, your stuff's selling really well, but the paycheck never really seems to follow through. I'm never complaining about my paycheck, by the way. Like, the Stone brothers were fantastic to me. Personally, they rewarded my effort. They rewarded winning. That whole thing, like, the Stone brothers are, I mean, we are just thick, you know, with respect. I've got so much respect for the Stone brothers, the whole family, everybody involved. I talked to the family, the whole team that were there at the time, but we had some amazing people. Barry Hay was there, Paul Forgy was there, Campbell Little was there, Paul Seprenak was even there at the start when I was there. Like, just some amazing people. Lindsay was just Benny Croak was there. Like, just the list just goes on and on and on. Wes was there. Like, Ken Douglas, just so many great people. And so that whole time is just something that, you know, you just love to talk about it, and you love to think about it, because it just was just the golden era of supercars, and just the golden era of just being in and amongst just a great group of people to do something exceptional. Back to the story. So we turn up one day and I buy some Kellogg's, you know, and my face is on the back of the sanitarium box. And I go, well, how does this happen? Well, it's, you know, supercar are sort of starting to really get to flow with things, and they've got the use to your rights and image and likeness. And so, like, I got upset with that because, like,
You're just taking your IP and...
Yeah, and say, well, if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
So you bought the box that you were on?
Yeah. So
I didn't even get a free box.
So they're like, well, if you don't like it, you know, go somewhere else. So I went somewhere else. That's kind of part of the reason why.
That really hasn't. I don't think that's totally changed, though, that mentality, which is it different in the States?
Yeah, look, yes, it is, because it's more independent. But basically, you know, if you want to play in the sandbox, you've got to play by the rules, okay? Yeah. And the rules are set very clearly when you go in there, and we all did well out of it, okay? And I don't blame anyone for it. It's just, you know, I thought, well, it's probably time to go, have a chance at doing something else. I still viewed myself as an international driver. I was young enough to still think that I could go. At the time, my wife, Sonia, wasn't pregnant. She was through that process, so we ended up going over to America with a young baby. But that's all. I mean, she was fantastic with all that too. So we just sort of just treated it like a holiday. Just get away for a little while. If it doesn't work out, I'll come back. I always know someone's going to pick me up. So, you know, go across America and have a go. I'd met Dan Davis and John Zemansky, two big Ford motorsport guys in the US, in Australia the year before at Bathurst, and then I did a Daytona 24 with Paul Morris and a few others. Craig Bird was in there as well, and so I got to meet those guys again. They said, "What are you doing here?" Well, I love America. I want to be here. You know, you just sort of sell the sell. And I said, I just thought sort of sports cars would be the place to come. So I thought I'd start there. So, no, Marcus, you got to do NASCAR. Okay, well, can you write me a letter and I'll come over? Yeah, we're going to do a development program or something. We're not sure what it's going to look like yet, but it's going to be something. And that's the letter I used to go talk to Ford Australia, go talk to Stone Brothers, and the decision was made before the 2005 season even started.
So you were really, you were done, really. I mean, if this didn't happen, though, how much do you think you could have stayed in supercars?
Or yes. I just, look, I needed my wings clipped, to be honest with you. You know, like I just needed to do something different or calm down or, you know, I mean, it was just getting heavy too, you know, like motorsport needs heroes and villains, like all sports do, you know. And so I was a hero to some and I was a villain to others, and, you know, it just comes with the territory, right? You just, when you put up in lights, you know, you got to stand and deliver.
There has to be an element where there's some justification of an ego. You did 154 races, 28 wins, 18 poles, 2 championships, and your worst championship finish was 8th, which was your first season. Then you went 3rd, first, third.
Well, if it wasn't for the AU, it would have been better than that, wouldn't it? That AU was a bit of a dog, wasn't it? Let's face it.
But, I mean, that is a pretty remarkable career in a short period.
You know, I don't
You're on pole and debut, weren't you, as a rookie at the GP?
Yeah, I didn't.
At the GP, yeah. But you know, I just don't care for those stats. I don't have a trophy in my house. I don't have a photo in my house of a car. I don't live for the results.
Yeah. But as a young bloke, you might have naturally become high maintenance because of those.
Well, naturally, I think, you know, that is the right word, high maintenance, you know, and probably not quite the right perspective on life.
Yeah. There is a point. I do love, though, watching stuff in different countries celebrating the success of the athletes and growing, letting them blossom, I guess. And that might be, well, I mean, NASCAR's facing a problem at the moment where it's like, do they need to give some back to the teams for ownership and things? And there is an element, I think, where we need to retain some of our stars. And that might need to bring change with it, whether that is, because we've had it happen now with Shane. Scotty Mack, I think, was kind of in the same situation. So it wasn't unique to you, and we might need to help the stars of the sport, incentivise them to stick around, because we do need it.
Competition's good, okay? And so if the product here is not good enough to keep our drivers, they go somewhere else. Okay, and then we need to look at the sport, as I am, thinking, how do you make it better? Okay, and that's pretty much, I think, my take on it. Like, let the market decide what's the right and wrong thing to do. That's all. Like, we're lucky in this country to have the level of competition in supercars that we have. Okay, it's an elite championship. We're lucky to have it. I'm proud to talk about supercars and to be a champion of the sport. And it's been successful for a long time. Can it be better? Of course things can be better, but it's very hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when it gets that big and that much going on, it's hard to change things on a dime. In general, you know, we've got one of the best motorsport categories in the world. I just wish there were 30 or 40 cars on the grid, not 22 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's all. Like, I just want more guys to have a chance to race in it.
Do you think we need more racing here as well? Like,
You actually, I did do a little bit of research. One of the things you said, sorry to jump in, was you said one of the factors was there's 14 events here in Australia and there's 36 in America. That was an interview you did, like.
Yeah, that's absolutely
right in the
true. Like, you
transition.
get paid for your performances, right? And if you're a race car driver, you've only got a fairly small window of time to be the best you can be. And do you want to, like, in your golden years, do you want to be doing 14 races or 40 races?
Yeah.
I'll take the 40 every day.
yeah.
So, yeah, do you think that's a good question back to it, I guess?
It's a balance. Like, you know, you kind of see how these things fall and how they go. I mean, the idea of the Gen 3 car was to have a cheap race car that was easy to run and cheap to build. And you can then go do more racing laps, I assume, was what the goal was. And it turns out that it's not that cheap. It's not that cheap to run, and it's quite a complicated car to keep up the front. So it hasn't quite worked out. So when I left Australia, I think there were, I'm going to lie, maybe there were 16 races, maybe 15-ish championship supercar races, and we've struggled to get back to that point. So yeah, I'd like to see more races.
I heard one thing. You always hear there's always a reason why. Everyone has a different reason why we can't afford to go racing more. One I heard recently was broadcast. So the cost of getting it set up at every track, because NASCAR I think has permanent setup for their broadcast tracks, whereas we don't.
You don't want to be too political on these things, but we don't have great motorsport infrastructure in this country. You know, our biggest category don't go to many permanent facilities. We go to Gold Coast and Adelaide and the Grand Prix, and they ship over to New Zealand. They're not really using domestic permanent race facilities that much, right? And if one gets dropped, it's normally one of those, right? So it'd be nice to think that some investment would be made over time in those spaces, or would have been made before now. We've been racing cars since the 60s.
Yeah.
You know, and we're pretty much racing at the same tracks that were around in the 60s. I mean, Winton was built, Phillip Island was built, Sandown was built, Wanneroo was built, Malala, probably not far behind, right?
The infrastructure should be there by now.
You'd say the same thing about categories too, you know?
Yeah.
Like I get my daughter in, you know, to go race cars for the first time, and I'm buying a $28,000 XL that's 20 years old that I could have bought for $9,990 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, that's not quite right either. But I don't want to get political and involved in all that stuff. That's not my...
Well, there's no silver bullet either. There's so many different...
No, there's not. And motorsport's not cheap, and that's the devil. That's the devil in the detail, right? It's just... Motorsport's it's a hard game to be in because it does cost to compete, and it's also costs a lot of time.
Yeah,
it costs a lot of commitment.
Yep.
And you know, when you go race cars, you know, you're competing against the lawnmower. You know, because most people mowing lawns on a Sunday, we're out there racing cars and burning fuel and smoking tyres, aren't we? You know, and then. So family gatherings and holidays and all those things, you know, get sacrificed to go racing. So racing is a big commitment, not just money, but time and effort.
Yeah.
That's all. So that's part of the balance of why you can't do it every single weekend.
Yeah.
Also too, you know, we should look at how we go racing, you know, how do we get the costs out of it? With our deal with Elliott and my experience with Transam this year, at least a heavy third, if not half of the money on a big race weekend goes in transport, logistics and crew costs.
Right.
Because we're there for 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
Okay, I went to Darwin and I paid my guys for 6 days.
Yeah.
You know, for 3 20-minute races. You do the math. It's not great.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, and that's, you said earlier, mate.
Safety car laps too.
Yeah, well,
I didn't want to not to rub it in.
Thanks, mate. It was a shit
bullshit.
weekend for me, but anyway.
I think you caused a safety car, didn't you?
I think you did actually in one of them.
No, I come in, but I was part of it. Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks for bringing that up. You did say earlier you wanted to give back. While we're talking Motorsport Australia, you've just taken on a new role with the AASA. You're the competition manager. Talk us through, you know, why you took that role on, what you're trying to achieve being in that position. I hate saying great question, but it's a complicated
Do it
question.
because his ego needs it.
Yeah, no, pump me up. You just brought me down before with the safety car, so bring me back up. Mate.
Really good question, Elliot.
It's a combination of things. I got to experience junior category racing with my daughter Tabitha, trying to get her through, and saw the challenges of that. And I saw a lot of broken dreams for kids who just dreamed of wanting to be racing cars, and they just doesn't work out for them. It gets very expensive. They don't get the time on the racetrack like they really deserve for the effort required, and it was difficult. So I got to touch AASA state level racing through the Honda XLs, and I got to know those guys over there pretty well. A good bunch of people that really just were focused of grassroots racing and what racing for me is all about. You know, I am a purist in racing. I just want to have the best racing possible for the cheapest cost, and I want more people to be part of the sport. Like, I love the bottom end of racing. Not even bottom end, it's the grassroots of racing is what it is. That really everything starts at that level and then works their way through. And so I got to experience those guys, had a good relationship with them. Obviously, our experience at junior motorsport's been challenging, and you can see today, kids all the way through even to the 86 series, you know, it's tough to either be noticed or get enough experience or not send the family into a financial crisis.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that combined with, you know, when I wasn't feeling well, you know, I just thought to myself, you know, I don't want to waste all my knowledge and waste all the experience that I've got. It'd be really nice to contribute back to the sport that I love that has been so good to me. So that's the second driver, to be honest with you. And the third one is just opportunity. Like, it was just there. There's just a gap in the market right now. Like, I think having AASA and Motorsport Australia in motorsport, domestic racing is a good thing. Competition's a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you make AASA better at the grassroots level, it's going to also help Motorsport Australia competitors because, Roland Dane told me, a rising tide lifts all ships. Okay, and it's a very good advice. So I'm happy to participate in that. And to be honest with you, AASA asked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They asked.
It might be an opportunity missed by MA. And I mean...
Yeah, look, I'm not competing against MA. That's not what... We're two different products, to be honest with you. Motorsport Australia is, it covers, the FIA side of things pretty well, the elite side of the sport pretty well, the GT racing, the open wheel with the F4 and everything else that goes on. AASA is more about grassroots. It's about just participation. It's about, bring your car and go run it. It's about simplifying the process of going motor racing because it's actually really difficult to go motor racing. There's just a lot of things to work through to get organised in time. And it's kind of the American way, to be honest, too. Like buy it off the shelf, cubic inches, bit of sheet metal, Bassett steel wheels, that kind of stuff's good.
A few rivets.
Yeah, a few rivets, a lot of rivets in Trans Am, that's for sure. They're in speedway a little bit, they're in off-road a little bit. It's all stuff that's close to my heart, to be honest with you. I'm a huge fan of dirt speedway. I just love watching it, love knowing all about it. And not that I've really ever raced in speedway much, but I certainly am a huge fan of speedway. And domestic speedway in Australia, like Australian speedway scene, it's very healthy. And it's got a great following and it's got a great competitor base. So really it's two different things, okay? And I just want to make that clear is that I think there's plenty of room in here to meet the market all the way across the board from elite racing all the way through the grassroots with different sanctioning bodies. There's nothing wrong with that.
I hope you're enjoying this episode, but I do have to interrupt just quickly to thank our fantastic supporters that allow us to create the content for you. East Coast Car Rentals. If you're in the market for a rental car, think of those guys. And if you'd like a cheeky 15% discount, AHU15 is the discount code there for 15% off. If you're in the market to buy a car, not rent one, Lancaster Motor Group, we've got you covered for new or used cars. So think Lancaster Motor Group. Quadlock, fantastic supporter of our podcast as well. We use their products every single day on the pod using their desk mounts here. Also, we've used them to create the additional content like we did the Adelaide Motorsport Festival using their action camera mounts. So whether it's mounts, phone cases, they've got you covered. Quadlockcase.net. Now, the website for all of these brands that support us will be in the description of this podcast. Back to the show.
I got to, actually, there was an event on the weekend, Calder Park, and I was out there and I got to sit in on your driver's briefing you gave at AASA. Yep. And our listeners probably would have seen in some of the articles out there, you've brought in a few different things that I guess are different for Australian motorsport, and no doubt it comes from your experience in America and all the racing you've done. One of them was the rolling starts. And I think on paper, without people realising why you've done that, people might go, oh, why is that? But then when you explain it, like your whole thing around racing is bang for buck for the competitor.
It is. Well, there's three things. It wants to be more rewarding, as in the racing needs to mean something to you, right? I don't care if it's a supercar championship or just, the local race win. It needs to have value to you. It needs to be worthwhile to do and actually have meaning to do it. So that's what I'm all about. I'm about better racing as well. Like I want to have more racing on the racetrack. Give me a good race. I'll watch a great race with HQs or Formula Vs. Yep. I just love watching a good race, and I want people to enjoy motorsport for what it is, which is racing. It's actually a sport out there, okay? We've got to remember it's a sport, okay? Yep. And the third thing, which is the biggest thing, is we've got to get the costs under control. Motorsport's way too expensive. No one's really, serious about curbing the costs. There's a lot of things that sort of combine to create the costs. And so, my goal is to try to eliminate those costs as much as possible. And part of that is actually, providing more track time, getting more value whilst you're there. Like there's a lot of cost to get to the racetrack. There's no point doing a 12-minute session. You may as well have a decent race, right? So I'm trying to give AASA competitors more racing laps, more green flag laps, more track time all the time. And rolling starts help that a lot. I'll give you an example. When we do a standing start to a rolling start, there's approximately 6.5 minutes difference in the time it takes to get a race started with a rolling start versus standing. When you do a standing start, you've got to, everyone's warming up their tyres and taking their time. They've got to assemble on the grid. There's always a bit of a stagger thing because cars have been going out on their own. And so if you've got a recovery, you've got to do the recovery first so the track's clear. We've been trialling hot turnovers. So the last car reaches the checkered flag. We've got the other car staged, ready to go in pit lane behind the safety car or pace car, we call it. That rolls straight out behind the car that's on its cool down lap. And so our changeover is about a minute between races when it goes well. Whereas when you go and do a rolling start, there's just this time delay. Now, you go, 6.5 minutes, that's not much. But at Calder Park on the weekend for the state round, we did 10 races one day, 14 races the other day. It's about 2.5 hours of track time. So I want to give 2.5 hours of track time to my competitors that are racing under AASA. If I've got something to do, I want to give them more laps on the racetrack more often. And so that's the driver for the standing start versus rolling start thing. I know it's upset some people. They probably don't quite understand it. I love standing starts too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we've just got to get the costs under control first, get these policies in place to where we can actually get these races flowing. So the track never goes cold. That's the goal, is that the track never goes cold, it just stays hot. One race finishes, the other one rolls out, a bit like, say, Speedway does the deal. And we have to do it safely, right? And when you look at rolling starts, it's inherently safer. Like there's less first corner incidents, for sure, especially when you do it properly. And I like the idea of starting cars off the last corner because that's the natural flow of racing. Starting these cars at 60 kilometres an hour underneath the flag stand, halfway down the main straight. It just gives everybody the opportunity to run into each other because they're all trying to game when the race is going to start. So if you start it off the last corner, let the leader choose when to go, it creates this nice natural separation. And then if you're doing 60 kilometres an hour and you're half a car length behind, when you're doing 120 kilometres an hour, it's 2 lengths behind. Well, it's a lot harder to dive bomb somebody from 2 lengths behind than 1 or half a length behind. So speed's your friend as well off the starts. And so like starting them off the last corner, they normally, get more separation going into the brake zone for turn 1. So if you do it properly and you look at it right, yes, there's going to be incidents with rolling starts too, but, I think the stats are pretty clear that rolling starts tend to get less safety car periods after them. They're cheaper on the cars. You don't have to worry about clutches as much, drive lines as much. And so that's a big plus as well, for sure. The time thing is a major one. And then the last one too is I want the leader to be able to choose when to go because he's done the hard work to get that spot.
Yeah.
He's gone out there and done his 20-minute qualifying session and been the fastest. He should have some kind of advantage over the guy who qualified second.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's the 4 major reasons why, I like rolling starts. Now, if we get this thing dialed in, there's no reason why we can't really look at, standing starts again. But for now, let's get ourselves the very best chance to have the most track time possible and get the guys racing out there properly for as long as we can. Yep. And I think we trialled it at Calder Park. It went well.
Yep.
That trialling period is not over. We've got a lot of work to do and, we're not going to get all of it right, but we're working towards just trying to give the competitor more value and more racing laps.
Yep. And you're also, under the AASA, bringing in 2-day events.
Yep. Again, it's just for cost, right? Yep. So you got to pay your guys. I mean, they're taking time off work, they're taking time away from their family. I'm not talking about like the grassroots club race. So that's passion, friends, and family. But when
you do it for a steak and a beer.
When you go that next level up, and I'm talking TA2 and Trans Am and those kind of categories, even Formula Ford, to be honest with you, you've got professionals that need to run those cars for good reason, and then it costs money when they're there for too long. And so we're just trying to shorten it up. I'd like to think if you're an XL driver or an RX-8 driver or maybe an ADC driver with the hypercars, that if you want to work Friday, you can. And if you want to work Monday, you kind of can. That's kind of the goal, is to try to, make it 2 days best you can. You might be able to take Friday off to get to the racetrack or do your thing there and you make up for it. But when we go and do a Trans Am race, you're leaving on a Tuesday and you're not getting back till a Monday at night, it's a full week. It's a full week, and that's tough to do. So we're just trying to compress. We're trying to give more laps in a more compressed time zone. Yep. So then we just get more bang for the buck.
As a competitor, one challenge that people often face with is being discovered. How do you, and I have only thought of this whilst we've been having the discussion, how do you, it sounds like if you're going to get in motorsport, this route sounds really quite a good one for someone starting out rather than going down the path of an FA, like a category as a support category of supercars, the cost and everything.
Maybe it's a combination of both, right? Like,
Yeah.
you
but
might
sometimes
start somewhere and
people
then merge
choose-
across.
Yeah. Some people would choose, I guess, the ones that are on the supercar calendar because of, I mean, then you're into super ute territory and things like that. But do you think the owner should be on teams to go out and try and source talent, actually go out and talent scout them like they do in other sports?
Again,
or how do we
this-
make the drivers more discoverable?
Yeah, I mean,
doing
this
AASA?
is the old question, right? I mean, it's a sticky one. You'd love to think that talent would outshine everything else, okay? And that guys with supreme talent would get noticed and get seen. It's just not that easy in the sport we play, and it's not that easy in a lot of sports. And so, yes, you'd want to be able to try to get racing to a point where you can see the difference, where you can find those really talented people that they can stand out from the crowd.
Okay.
I think that's the hardest part, right? Is like, how do you get to stand out? And I think I think American racing can do that quite well because obviously they've got way more racing, so you've got way more opportunities to get noticed and get out there, right? And the type of racing they do too, it's not as technical, you would say. When you go speedway racing, I don't think there's many computers kicking around. I mean, there's a few, but, it's really about seat of the pants driving. And when you go to the very top ends of NASCAR, even late models and things like that, the computers don't really come out as much as you think. It's really about driver feel, and it's about, the driver making the difference. And that's what I think the goal would be, is to like make your category, make the series, make everything built to be able to show drivers who have the talent. I mean, Blake Tracy's running over in our deal right now in some TA2 races and IRC. He's done some Trans Am. He's won a Trans Am race already this year at the Bend. He's a ripper kid.
Yep.
I'm talking about him.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about it. There's another fella, it's a family friend, so it's a bit biased, but Oliver Wickham, he's racing the 86 series, first time in really serious national level motorsport, and he's racing for the championship this weekend in the 86 series. Again, like, he's a ripper kid. He's doing everything right. He looks great. He's just so young but so wise at the same time. He's getting noticed. So it's not easy for everybody, and there's only a chance for one or two to go through every year too, right? So, I mean, it's a grand goal to say everyone should be noticed, but in reality, it's not that easy.
Yeah, and there's just not. Yeah, I guess that's the challenge, is being discovered in something that is not on the doorstep of.
I think what's more important, and this is my goal for what I'm trying to contribute to the sport as best I can in my little space, and I'm only just a little piece of motorsport. Like, you got to be real careful you don't get in front of your skis too far here. Like, I've got some skills and experience, and I'm just going to try to contribute. I don't want to overstep the mark. I might do whatever. We'll just have to balance it all out there, and hopefully, you don't get too far out. If we can create an industry where, if you want to be in it, there's a job for you.
Yeah.
How about that for a goal? That sounds pretty
good. Exactly what we want, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Forget about the glory. How about, like, I love motorsport. I love racing. I want a lifestyle. I want to live in and around motorsport, and there's a career for me here somewhere. So that sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a goal, a lofty goal, but that's a goal worth chasing in my mind. Yeah.
I like that. And we do often just look at like I probably did it then as from a driver's perspective, looking at a very small part of what this sport can offer.
I'm saying drivers, mechanics,
everyone,
team managers, team owners.
Commercials.
Like right now, I've experienced it firsthand. It's very difficult to be a team owner. A lot of uncertainty out there. A lot of costs that come out from you just whack you around. Like,
has that opened your eyes, being a team owner now and starting to see it from that perspective?
There's a reason why I have never run a team before. It's like kind of, I like racing them, and sometimes you crash them, and I certainly don't want to pay for them.
Yep.
There's definitely something there, right? Is that, like, how do you get this sport healthy enough that we can all find a place to be where we want to be?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I would hope we could get to. That's a nice lofty goal. No one needs to make a gazillion dollars here. It's just to be rewarded for your efforts and to be able to have a lifestyle in the sport if you want it.
Yeah. If someone young is listening, or old, and they want to look at getting into their first, what would be the advice you'd give someone starting out that wants to get into motorsport?
It's just start. You got to start somewhere, right? And just start, and you'll soon work out if it's for you or not. you'll find your place if you really want to do it. Like people who survive in the sport for a long time, you know, they tend to love it and they tend to enjoy the grind. They tend to enjoy. I mean, it's a bit selfless, isn't it? You know, you give yourself a punishing, you know, just to get to the racetrack, and then you spend hours and hours. I mean, I think on Elliot's car, we're up to sort of 60 hours every turnaround, every time we race it.
Far out.
And he goes out there lap one and tries to kill it, you know, smashing curbs and running into people, which is his job, and that's what he should do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we are gluttons for punishment there, because I could build a really nice, you know, kit car or showpiece car, and it just sits in the workshop and you just polish it every month and it's good to go. Not us. We've got to rebuild it every single time.
Yeah,
and every time
I build different.
Yeah, and every time my car goes out of the garage, I want it to be right. You know, I want it to be as good as I can make it. And so that's pride. And also, too, it does make a difference.
Yeah.
To have your stuff right. And so, it's just a constant churn. So you got to love it. You got to want to do it. You got to love to be part of that whole thing, whether you're in administration or sponsorship or driving or mechanicking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not it's weekend work as well. Like, it's not like you can just, you know, close up the garage door at 5 o'clock on a Friday night and have the weekend.
Yeah.
No, that's where it starts.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Were you always like this, as in hands-on with, I mean, you've kind of done a lot of different things. A lot of people would try their hands at some things and then find out that's not for them and move on.
I've definitely done that.
But you uniquely have done very well at everything you've done. I mean, even your NASCAR endeavour, really, going out winning the Cup Series races you did at the Glen, and Supercars conquered that. You obviously with the Lodge as well. Like, you've gone off and done some things totally different.
Yeah, but not everything's perfect, mate. Like, it's not all social media out there. There's
What? You're kidding? I thought that was life. Everything's perfect.
There's plenty of skeletons in the closet, things that I wish I'd done differently, or things that I wish I could do again, or things that you know, I probably should have had a go at and didn't.
I just laugh. Like, your mentality is always it blew me away when we were teammates, because this cart that's hanging on the wall behind us. Yeah. I don't know if you remember going out to Ipswich in that. Yeah. And I do have to stop you, and you said, no, I'm not wearing a.
Yeah, you nearly broke my ribs when I come back in that thing. Yeah.
So I've got a shifter cart hanging on the wall in the background, and Elliot and I actually blew it up last night. That's why it's hanging.
You blew it up, mate. Don't blame me.
But I took it out karting with you. We went out, and you're like, I don't need a rib protector. Those things are soft. I don't need that. You went out, and he literally went out and came straight in. Was like, yeah, give me that hand. Put it on. Yeah. But you love that. I remember at the end of the day, you're like, fuck, I want one, and I'm like, oh yeah, you can. I can put you in touch with CAG. You're like, no, I'm going to go on Marketplace, find one that needs to be built, and I'm going to
go do it.
Build my own, even if I have to get a motorbike engine from somewhere else. And and that's what made me laugh. It's like, you are. I guess your work ethic. A lot of people just go, oh, they've got them off the shelf. I'll just buy one and then take it to the track.
Yeah, look, I'm hot and cold like anyone. You know, I get into things and get fall out of things, and you know, I try my best to just enjoy what I'm doing at the time. You know, and sometimes I flame out, sometimes I stick it through. I'm just another guy, mate. To be honest with you, like, you know, I'm half handy at a lot of things.
Yep.
Not great at many, to be honest with you. Like, I'm dangerous because I can have a go at anything, but I don't really ever perfect anything.
Yeah, I did. I laughed. So Sonia, your wife, in an interview I saw yesterday, said that I actually don't really worry about Marcus too much on the super speedways and stuff. It's usually when he's in the garden with a power tool.
Mate, the first time I come around to the shed, I rock up. He's fiberglass on the front bar, and then 20 minutes later, I turn around, he's welding shit, and then he's scrotting. Yeah, you're a bit of a jack of, like, you give everything a go.
Yeah, but it's pretty rough. Like, I mean,
I didn't say it was pretty welds.
No, pretty rough.
Oh, that is cool. Back onto Supercars a little bit. The rivalries in we kind of touched on it briefly, but I did love those. And I think that's something we're kind of missing a little bit.
Heroes and villains, we could talk about it forever.
Oh, we need it though. We need it back.
Well, you're the villain. You know, good cop here, bad cop over there. That's kind of how it goes.
We're not in that. The problem is, it's like the guys that are full time now need to do it a bit more. Need to speak out.
It also too. It comes from being allowed to, you know, really do it as well. Like, I've had my moments in motorsport. You know, regrets for sure. I had a moment in America where I got penalised heavily for an indiscretion that I had.
Indiscretion? Is this Casey Mears?
Yeah, Casey Mears thing. And, you know,
good hit, though.
The feedback I got from NASCAR was if it was on pit lane, it was going to be okay. But you did it like...
Where they couldn't see it.
And that's a problem. And actually, you go, well, that's kind of just America. But it's deeper than that, because they're effectively saying that when it's on the racetrack, it's emotional. It's a sport.
Yeah,
it's a sport, and when you have sport, just like football or anything else you watch, you know, passion comes out. Okay, and also to the glassy eye, where you know the lip will quiver and you get mad and you just you blow your stack, right? That's part of why people watch sport. That's why I watch sport. I like to see greatness.
Yeah.
I like to see somebody do something that I can't do, and certainly something that's special. I also like to see someone I don't like get beaten. I also like to see my team that I don't like get beaten, right? I like to see people get stuck in the sand trap. That's,
Yeah.
Like we all watch racing for crashes just as much as we like racing for winners.
Yep.
And it's the same with egos and characters in the sport. And it's one of the big drivers when the NASCAR experience again. I just go off what I know.
Yeah.
NASCAR at the time when I got there, you've got Kellogg's and you've got, big supermarket brands. I was sponsored by a supermarket company for a long time. They're in the sport because they sell.
Yeah.
And they sell because people like to watch.
Yeah.
And people like to watch because there's something going on, okay? And 90% of what goes on is really driver related.
Yeah.
At that point too, there was this thing about certain car brands, you got Ford and GM over there and you had different sort of bodies, and that went away because all the cars went to a template. The car of tomorrow, they called it when I was over there, it started. So that sort of argument went away. All the cars look the same and they are the same, basically.
Yeah.
And so it didn't change the sport that much as far as, excitement and crowd engagement. The teams certainly have a part to play in this too. People like to follow a team. But the large majority were following drivers.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you got to give them a reason to follow drivers. That's all I'll say on it.
Do you think if the Casey Mears thing happened? So I have to ask though, because you had some big moments with Murph.
Yep.
Top of the mountain.
Yep.
Casey did give you quite a good shove, and you couldn't see the dialogue, but I imagine you're like, mate, fucking stop, and then you snapped.
Well, yeah, that whole thing was just bad timing because I was mad at David Gilliland. So I was heading down there to see him. And then I just happened to be walking past Casey Mears' truck, and he was mad at me, and he started running his mouth at me. Didn't realise I was there, so it was just.
Oh, you overheard him, and then
Yeah. It was just bad timing. It was just bad timing. That's what it was.
But was there in Australia? Did you allow yourself to do that in a way, knowing in the States? Because here, I mean, the ban, I couldn't imagine what they would do if you.
Well, the Russell Ingall, Mark Scaife thing when they were out in the racetrack at the end of
doing these ones.
Sydney, I think was that 2004, 3?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. They come down pretty hard on those guys, didn't they? But
if you connected, with
it's up to the sport, the governing body to decide what's right, what's wrong. Ultimately you've got to abide by their sandpit. Whatever they decide it's going to be is what it's going to be, right?
Yep.
NASCAR's more open, okay? They like their action on the track. They made that very clear to me. They wanted the action on the track.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
the fines are bigger in America too. That would hurt.
Yeah, it did hurt at the time, but they pay you better over there too. So
That's true. Yeah,
it all balances
yeah.
out.
The Gold Coast one, I look. I just love these moments that are still fucking highlight reels
What
everywhere.
have I done with Gold Coast?
Well,
That's where you brake check bloody Kelly, mate.
allegedly. This is what we're here to
on,
clarify. This is what
Here
we're
he
here.
is.
Hang on.
Here he is.
This is what we're here to clarify. Did you brake check Rick Kelly?
Yeah, I'm sure I did. I don't even, I'm sure it happened. But don't forget, Rick Kelly was a lap down.
Yeah, I know.
And he was just messing with me the whole race.
There we go. I think that answered because I looked back. It's like everything, even after they fined you 10 grand for that, which is ridiculous.
I was allowed to brake, but I probably braked harder than I needed to.
Yeah. They fined you 10 grand for that. I thought that was crazy.
Yeah.
And but you were like, nope, I did not brake check Rick for days. Even there was like
The press conference where Murph was getting into you about it there was pretty icy, wasn't it?
one of the best.
It was icy. That was pretty
Yeah.
testy. But again, it's just the height of what was going on back at the time. Like there was just a massive battle with Ford and Holden. Like you just can't.
We missed that, though.
You can't undervalue how big that was. Like we had, the president of Ford and international Ford people coming out, and they coming to the racetrack to see. It was a battle. Like it really was a feud between the two, and there was a lot at stake, and it went all the way through to the media that was going on. There was ambush marketing going on. There was strategies going on behind the scenes, trying to get one up on each other. Like I remember Mark Scaife and I would always like to be the first out onto the pit lane to go start practice, and we would run into each other in the pit lane trying to get our cars positioned. It just was it was relentless.
There's really no harm in that either. At the end of the day, there's not. That's what creates it, though. Murph told us that one of the things he loved to do was get on the roof at Pookie and rub it in the face of Scafey that he's dominated Pookie again.
Yeah,
is there anyone for you?
He was amazing around there, though.
Just-
like, wow, he could drive that track. That track is a real driver's track. The old Pookie was
I missed that.
a
So
real driver's track, and Greg just would float that car across the top of that hill and down through turn one like no one's business.
Yeah,
it is one of the most insane tracks like that. And Alton Park, you would have raced there. I love
Yeah,
that
Old
place
Park
as
was
well.
great.
It's a little bit
Thruxton-
similar.
I think Thruxton's my fave.
Yep. I did Thruxton in a road car for a tuition day. That thing just killed tyres. I think we did like 4 runs and we ran 2 sets of tyres on it and then had to go home. But Thruxton's fast, pretty much flat, wide open the whole way around.
Yeah.
Who was the person you had to beat or wanted to beat the most when you're in
Or like
Supercars?
seeing fail.
Yeah, or like seeing in the sand or whatever.
Mark Scaife comes to the top of the list pretty clearly because he was the champion.
Yeah, and top Holden guy, you were Ford.
Top Holden guy, HRT, the whole deal, right? Greg, Rick, anyone driving.
All the guys you brake checked.
Anyone driving the Holden really was fair game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that though, because you're right. It's Ford versus Holden thing, wasn't it? And that was it at its peak. And you were going up against Murph really for that championship. I think in that year when Rick, because it was teammates too. It's like
I honestly, I don't remember much of it.
that's I think though as well. That's where the sport shouldn't get involved. You got a guy a lap down who's teammates with a guy who's in a championship fight, clearly playing a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get involved.
But, I'm good mates with Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was doing his job.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay?
Yeah.
And I actually,
Yep.
I kind of did my job too.
Yeah.
And that is why, though, it's like, don't get involved, just let it play out. And that's what because I look back at that now and I'm like, fuck, I love that. But the fact someone got a fine out of it, I'm like,
And it's-
don't discourage it.
It sold shirts. I guarantee it sold tickets, and I guarantee people tuned in the next week.
Now, again, we're so lucky to have V8 Supercar. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, we are so lucky. We've got to remember what we've got. We've got something pretty special. Okay. It can always be better.
Yeah.
Okay. Sport has gone pretty conservative, I've got to say,
Yeah.
like across the board. So motorsport's not the only one.
Yeah, for
No.
sure.
It's just the modern way.
What
okay?
about then? I love it at the moment, the finals, because everyone's racing like this. They're literally throwing caution to the wind. The Gold Coast was unreal. I mean, Bathurst was probably, for me, a bit of a turning point. My sister doesn't watch the racing anymore now. I'm not full time. And she said to me,
that
I watched.
day was just so special for Australian motorsport. wasn't
Unreal.
it? What a
And-
fantastic day.
She's like, well, I watched Bathurst. I thought, fuck, that was cool. And she tuned in for Gold Coast thinking maybe it'll be as entertaining, which it was.
Yeah.
And I think it is part of the finals format is contributing. What do you think of the finals format?
Yeah, look, I'm a fan of change. Okay, so that's the first thing. It might not work out perfect for everybody, but it's definitely like, we've got to move with it. Like, I can't sit and watch a movie these days. I can't sit there for 2 hours. YouTube and social media gets in the way. Like, we just need to, like, people have changed the way they want to view content. People have changed how much content they want to watch at one time. Everything's more fast paced. We've got to get snappier too in motorsport, and then NASCAR were on this program early. Like, we were doing 500-600 mile races, and pretty quickly they went into, the shootout series. They had their own version of it, and then they started going to the stage races, and so they've been chasing it the whole time.
Yeah.
They're not stagnant, and Supercar shouldn't be stagnant either. And I just like the idea of change. Okay, if it's the same every year, you're going to get the same outcomes. Okay, so let's just keep shaking it up and I think that's the secret. Just keep moving the goalposts.
And like you said earlier, you're going to try things. And if it doesn't work, you adapt and change. We'll get to see this year. It's very rare you
collect data, right?
nail a business model in the first year anyway. So
that's right.
Let's embrace it, see what happens at the end.
Collecting data, yeah. I always like to ask, mate, especially someone like you that's done so many races and driven so many cars. It's a 2-part question. Favourite race you ever did, but also, second part, favourite race car you got to drive?
I think the Formula Ford festivals, when they were in their prime, were just so special. You're there for a week of racing, not just hanging around. Like, you had heat races and you had European drivers coming in. So you had when I was there, you had a Euro race the first weekend, and then you all stayed over and then you did it like a week at the festival, basically. And there are sort of 95 to 120 cars there, and it's sort of a round robin of racing, and you get to race drivers that are winning their championships around the world that turn up with their cars, and so you get this, like, I don't know who I'm racing, but like, this guy's really good, or like, this guy's got a number one on the side of his car, but he's actually not that good at all, like so I really loved that, and they were very meaningful races to me back in the day. They meant a lot. And I just remember those as being some of the most gut-wrenching and exhilarating weekends that I've ever had. So that's for sure. Favourite race cars, I think the Stone Brothers cars, especially the BA, it was a simple car. I mean, the 888 car at the same time, towards the end of sort of 2004 and 5, was a very complicated car. Our car was simple, but the basics was just so good. And the simplicity of our car, I think, is what made it workable. And we made it strong. Like we could run into somebody and the front wasn't going to fall off it. We could run to the side of it, wasn't going to bend the toe. It was very tunable. We knew it well. It was lightweight, all those things you need, but it didn't have all the gadgets in it like the 888 was trying to do. And ultimately where motorsport's gone. So I've got a really soft spot for that, for the BA Falcon.
Yeah.
And there was only one of them. You know, ran the same one for 3 years pretty much.
Yeah, right. And it was that's one of the most iconic cars now anyway.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, Perry's got it. So I've seen the two cars. He's got both of the AU and he's also got the BA.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so he's got them on display and they're just beautiful cars.
And then Russell's is fully restored now, isn't it?
Yeah, Russell's fully restored as well. Yeah,
Yep.
and it's pretty cool. Like, so Perry didn't know if it was a genuine car or not, so he gives me a call and he's like, how can we tell if this? I said, I got no idea. I just drove it. Like, it kind of looks like my seat and it kind of looks like the pedals. I really can't tell you. I said, let me call Paul Forgy. So Paul told me where to like scrape the paint back to see if there was a number on there.
Wow.
And so Perry, you know, scratched it back. It says, there's a number on it. You know, so I guess he was nervous he bought the wrong car, wasn't he? But anyway, there you go.
That's great. I saw Dale Jr.'s talking about it on a pod. One of his dad's cars popped up somewhere and he had to identify it through photos. And he said it's very difficult to ever to be able to really.
Yeah, they changed, didn't they?
I think that one he identified because Dale himself did the tail shaft hoop in it.
That's right.
And he made it out of some bit of shit in the garden or whatever, and they got on a hoist going, oh yeah, I remember that because that was the one Dad made or something. And
So I drove for Richard Petty Motorsport for a while, and Richard's he's just an amazing person. The family's just amazing. And they've got a shop just north of Charlotte there, and they actually moved their workshop to Charlotte because they needed to have the mechanic base there. So, you know, racing back in the 4-generation family of races, by the way, the Pettys. And so they're up there and they decided they needed to move down towards Charlotte in a modern shop to get the right staff because obviously racing's tough. But you go up there and you look at the Petty shops, you go hang out, and they're still doing some car restos and things in there, and some of the old boys are still in there working away. And they've got, they're not chicken sheds, but they're not tall sheds, they're just sort of long, slender, you know, fairly low roof, and they've just got 4 or 5 scattered around out there, and they go, yeah, this one here we built this one in like 1982, and it's got like 3 Daytona winning 500 cars under it because they just buried them.
Far out.
They just put them in as landfill and then built a shop on it because like they just kept growing and growing and growing. Because back then there was no value in the cars, mate.
Yeah.
No value in the cars.
Imagine them now.
Well, they're gone now. They're all rusted away, going back to Mother Earth. But I think some of the reasson too, they win a race and they buried them pretty quick because they didn't want people to see what they'd done.
Yeah, that's right. Especially the few cheaters, I reckon, in there.
I think there was an element of that as well.
That would actually happen a lot. Before we wrap it up, I wanted to get your take on broadcast because I got a little dabble in it. You've done some stuff in loads of different places. Why haven't we seen you pop up? We asked Murph the same question, why we haven't seen him do more as well, because 2 guys, along with Scafey, probably the most outspoken, and Russell. I mean, Russell, he called me after my take on it as well, and we had a great chat. But it's a shame, I think, not to see, even if it's on rotation, a little bit of personality put through the broadcast. And how do you feel about it right now? And
yeah, so I've dabbled in it a little bit, and I'm certainly happy to do more if I was asked. I don't get asked; it's fine. I'm probably too far gone now, to be honest with you. You know, to
doing
really,
other things, you mean? Or?
No, just to be relevant. You know, just to be.
I don't think so.
I think so. Like, but because you got to stay with it, it's got to stay fresh and young. Like, you know, we can't keep going back to 2005, mate. We're in 2025. It's 20 years ago. So I think that time's got to move on. I think we've all got our moment to do stuff. You have to ask, it's not my question to ask, really, because if they rang me up, I'd be happy to do some more, but I don't need to do more either. So it's no problem. I enjoy the TV side of it. It's actually a really unique side of the sport to experience and be part of. Yeah, but I mean, there's plenty of fantastic professionals that do it. It's really, TV world is a unique space as well. Like there's a lot of reasons why they do what they do over there, and there's probably reasons that you or I don't fully understand. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. I really enjoy listening to people talk about motorsport that really know it well. I think it's an important part of the telecast to have experience and knowledge that the general viewer can learn from, because watching a race car go around the racetrack and actually driving are 2 very different things. Yeah. And so, you know, to put a bit of flair and a bit of colour into what's going on out there is always beneficial. But I enjoy watching the telecast. There's no doubt about it. It's a very high quality telecast. Supercars.
Yeah.
I'm now obviously at AASA involved in the telecast of the High Tech Oils Super Series, Season 4, 2026.
There you go.
That's what we're calling it. And so, look, it's not an easy game. It's a very expensive game, and there's just a lot of reasons why decisions get made there that you or I probably don't fully understand. But I'd be happy to. Not sure why. I'm not sure about Russell's story or Greg's story. And whenever Greg and Russell were on TV, I used to enjoy watching them and listening to them because I thought they were always insightful.
Yeah, and it's that passion that, like, that's probably what I struggle. That's why we enjoy the pod so much, is we can just chat for 2 hours and it feels like it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone.
Whereas I struggled a little bit in broadcast, not having the ability to let passion for what I just watched come through. That was what probably was a little bit restrictive just in the time. And that's just, I think, commercial television. It was a lot more fast paced than I thought.
Yeah.
And it doesn't give you the freedom, but I do hope that there's some ability next year. I know they're shaping things up a lot.
Well, you raise a much bigger question than the one you're talking about, which is like, how do you get it fresh and different? And what, it's already happening. Streaming is just taking over.
Yeah.
Podcasts are taking over. YouTube's taking over. It's happening.
Yep.
Like I've got a guy, he's out here in Australia right now, Tyler Meserel, T-Mez TV. He's a grinder. He came from California, packed his bag with a helmet, and he went over to the East Coast, sorry, I should say, and just started driving cars for people, scratching a living out of it, and covers his costs. And he's on the road. He doesn't run a race car. He just turns up with his helmet bag. He started doing his YouTube channel. And I follow him. I cheer for him. I enjoy watching his content. I love the fact that it comes on a regular basis. I love the free form of it. I love the pain that he goes through and the joy that he goes through. You just see it, warts and all.
Yep.
And I think that's what you're craving. I think that's what I crave.
Yeah.
I want it to be real. That's all. I think that's really the guts of it. And podcasts, long-form podcasts. I listen to podcasts a lot. And I watch YouTube a lot because I like that. I like the ability to, find the content that I want to watch, and I like to have it come back to me, feeling very real and genuine.
Yeah.
And not always the good news story. Not all of YouTube turns out well, right?
Yeah. Like car builds and things are the best because it's like renovating a house. Everyone can relate to. You peel back a floorboard and go, fuck.
I watch Bad Chad. You guys watch Bad Chad?
No.
Oh, it's so good. Like, he's just... he tries really hard. He's a fabricator. He's got his heart.
Oh, hang on. He was out in Australia. He was at the
He was
500.
Fantastic guy.
Yeah.
From Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia is one of the most beautiful places in the world, but violently cold in the winter. But just, has a go at anything, does anything, does it unconventional, gets his boy on there and they have meltdowns and they do a car build and it goes wrong, and it's just so raw. And it's very personal, right? And that's... part of the social media thing, that's why I sort of refrain from doing too many of these things, because it is very personal. But if you want to put yourself out there like that, you can do it now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just at the very tip of it too, Scott. Like, it's the very beginning of this stuff.
Yeah, well, YouTube started in 2008.
Mate, well, I went to America
Not
racing
that long ago.
NASCAR. We're talking about NASCAR like it's yesterday. I had a BlackBerry on the hip, iPhones hadn't been invented.
It is crazy how fast it's changing.
It's just moved so fast, hasn't it?
And you do see, like, we have chatted like this a number of times. I'm sure you and Elliot do now as well, over a beer at dinner and things on race weekends. But it's great that people can tune in and listen like they're with us too. Like, we had a lot of comments with Shane's pod we just did with him in America, and that got a little loose. We were drinking a bit, and it was amazing because we just chatted for like 2 hours with his spotter. And one of the comments which stood out to me was they just said thanks for that, because might not get the opportunity to ever have a beer with Shane. I felt like I just did. And I loved that. I thought that was such a cool thing.
I did the same with my gold chase. Like, I haven't been able to get out there and get amongst it, but it's like I'm digging gold.
Yeah.
I go right now. I'm on a fad of watching online poker machine gambling, because I can enjoy all the jackpots and I don't have to spend my money.
You're getting a gambling eye without losing the money.
Yeah.
Oh, that is funny. Well, mate, thank you very much. It's been unreal, and really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you, guys.
You have had a great career across a number of different things, not just the driving. Love seeing what you're doing with Tabitha as well. Good luck to her and her motorsport future, or whatever she does in life.
Thank you, Elliot. It's been a fun year. Get to know you a little bit, and looking forward to a good driver, please, in 2 weeks' time here, Malala,
I'm ready, mate. I'm fit. I'm ready to go.
Adelaide. We're ready.
You guys are ready for a back-to-back. Malala, then...
Yeah. I'm actually, this is how things get out of hand. So I've got a little Pertec truck that we've been cruising around with, and then Elliot's got his little Pioneer truck that he cruises his stuff around with, and I'm like, I want to carry all these spares, you know? I'm like, I'm going to take 2 trucks. So I'm taking the Aaron Love car as a spare for him.
He's got faith in me, doesn't he? He's like, hey, he rings me that day, he goes, hey, I think I'm going to take my whole car just in case.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the whole car with all the bits and pieces so, you know, if we get ourselves really stuck, we don't have to come home and pick up another one.
That's good good forward thinking.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a couch in there so I've got somewhere to sit at Adelaide as well, get out of the sun or whatever.
Well, maybe if we need to do a pod on the road, mate, we can sit up in the project truck.
Because I'll have to come over to Adelaide early. Maybe we can sit in the back of your truck and have a chat. Hopefully the scheduling works though, where you don't need it, because Malala should be much safer.
We should be right.
Adelaide
first. We've geared up for it, and we're best prepared we can be. And you know, Elliot's a heck of a driver too. Like I've been really happy with. I mean, he jumped in Josh Webster's car for me to start the year, because I didn't know Josh. And I just wanted to see if my car was okay, you know, and just make sure everything grounded in. He just jumped in, bang. Someone else's seat, someone else's wheels, someone else's belts, just went bang. Lap 1, ready to go. I'm like, ooh, this guy can drive.
Yeah.
and so we're just getting better. So he's glass half empty at the racetrack though. We've got to get him glass half full. That's part of what we're going to work on. We're going to work on keeping him up, get him confident, and let him go do his business.
Yeah, I think that's always the tough thing, isn't it? Building that confidence back up, and especially now you're got really running it yourself too. Yeah. And I've seen the difference between top teams and top teams. There's a big, so when you go from running it yourself and now coming in with you, there'll be an adjustment period there, but it's going to be great to see.
The big thing you said to me was actually Tailem Bend, because Tailem Bend was the first event I'd done with you running it.
Yep.
So I've only done one really, even though you've been helping me all year. And as you said, just go drive loose and free.
Yeah.
I've always my whole time been like, fuck, worry about the money or don't crash the car and I was like, it was so much more fun just, you know, I've got great sponsors, great partners, great people backing me. So it's like, you know, I just need to go do my thing rather than worry about it.
Well, even when you talk about the hours you're putting in, we were doing podcasts here some nights and they'd be so late or have to do them early because you're out working on the car before it went over to your shop.
I was up at 5:15 this morning doing his Bondo for him because he's getting the car wrapped today.
Yeah.
So we're all putting our piece in, but I'm really happy to do it because I enjoy it. Okay, I enjoy it, and I want to see him run really well. I enjoy his racing too because Elliot has done it on his own. Okay, like he's gone and put the deal together. He's got his truck. He's got his car.
Yeah.
You know, he just needs to go to the racetrack and enjoy it. And I just, you know, he comes in 5th or 6th on the time sheets and he's like, oh, you know, mate, like have a look around.
Yeah.
Like, you're doing something that no one else can really do. Like you've gone and done the hard work, just enjoy it for what it is, no matter where it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
First, last, or indifferent. Just got to enjoy the process of being here and the work that is to get there and just then drive loose and free and just go and enjoy it. You know, like the worst you can ever do is drive tight. Like, you know what it's like. And I said the same thing to SVG when you run the ovals. Road races tend to drive tight. You know, they just white knuckle and just, you know. But in an oval car, you've just got to slump into the seat and just fall into the car and then you'll start to feel it better. And so the more relaxed you can be, the less you're thinking about anything, just drive on instinct. 9 times out of 10, it works out.
It is. You see it everywhere. You see it when people are qualifying well regularly. They start to drive more relaxed. You make better. You know, you have a few good races, and all of a sudden you start making better decisions in the race.
That's right.
It is just. It's so hard though.
I know Brody's had a tough couple of weeks, but like just watching him a little bit when I turned up at Bathurst and I turned up at Indy as well, and just chit chat to him and just watch how he does his business. You know, he's on top of his game, full of confidence, driving loose. You know, driving fast. The crashes don't worry him. The drama doesn't worry him, you know, and there's a window of time where you like that. And then kids and age and all the factors come into play, bank balance, whatever else kicks in. So, you know, when it's go time like that and you've got the moment to enjoy it, you just got to really do it. Yeah, and just really, really go for it.
We'll go have some fun at Malala in Adelaide.
Can't wait.
Enjoy it. Good luck.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks,
Marcus.